welcome to another edition of the Renew Podcast. I am Kristen Andre, your host, and as we continue, I'm just going to call it Girlfriend Month, Girlfriend Quarter, whatever it is. I have my friend Kwavi back with us. She was with us last week where we talked about 50 Shades of Over 50. But today, this is kind of a continuation of that, because one of the things that we talked about that kept coming up was adventure and being able to really do those things that are fun and exciting for us. Yes. So that's what we're talking about today.
Exciting.
Travel and adventure. Yes. And I thought you would be perfect for this for a few reasons. One, because you're just cool, but you are so well traveled. And I know that a portion of your business, even though you are a life coach for women over 50, you also plan these really killer retreats. For women in midlife, so women over 50, and some I know some a little bit younger too, 40s and 50s. Mm-hmm. But we're talking big. And you're going to Greece next month.
September.
Yes. In September. Yes. Yeah. So I'm excited. Oh gosh, that one looks good. I've been to. I am not well traveled as much as I would like to be, and I think part of that was when the way I grew up, everything was kind of regional. Like I grew up in Georgia, so we went to Georgia, we went to Florida, we did stuff here, and we did everything. We didn't travel internationally as a family when I was younger. Yes. My ex-husband's family traveled very extensively, and I know you're from overseas, so that helped because of the cute accent. But that I think it's people were either raised that way or they weren't.
True.
And it's one of these things now as an adult. It is definitely a goal of mine. So I'm excited because I think you can give us a ton of insight on one, why it's important.
Yeah.
And then how to go about it.
Yeah.
Because do you think people have enough adventure in their lives? I need more adventure. For those of you guys listening, I need adventure. So I need adventure partners. We're going to have some fun. I need adventure.
Yeah, I think we can add more. I don't care how much adventure you have. You can add more.
You can't OD on adventure?
No, you cannot. Okay. No, you can have more.
You can OD on vacations. I've heard about it, but it's okay.
We might need to rephrase that, but yeah, you can have it. Yeah, the adventure part is like you can have as much of that as you want.
So what keeps people from being adventurous?
Well, I think they're just scared. They're like, I don't know. I'm not sure. And I think a lot of us want to just keep things a certain way. And listen, when you travel,
stay in the status quo.
You don't know what's going to happen. You're just out there. You don't know what kind of food is out there. It's just everything is just different.
Do you think it is that status quo? Because I've talked about that in the book, and High School Musical did a whole song on it, sticking with the status quo. Yeah. But it's you've got to rock the boat a little bit and do things differently if you want to experience anything new.
Yeah, you have to be open, and then you're going to meet people from different cultures. They might speak differently. You have to be open to all of that, and not everyone is ready for that.
So for the people that are, because I agree with that. Some people like to stay in their bubble. And you guys, if y'all are listening and you want to stay in your bubble, that's fine.
That's fine.
Stay in your bubble.
This is for the others.
This is for the non-bubble people. And we're not judging you bubble people. You can stay there. But for the non-bubble people,
this is it. This is for you.
So how do you figure out, where do you start? Well, so let's take somebody like me.
Yeah.
And I've gone, I have been to Greece and it's gorgeous. So I know I've seen pictures of the villa you guys are staying in, and it's insane. It's just, the views there are.
It's just beautiful. And think about how you feel a few days before you're going on a trip like that. It's like the excitement just bubbles over.
It is. It's true. Well, after you made your packet, I of course have a typed out packing list that's been developed weeks ahead of time.
Yeah.
And Mia does too. My middle dog.
Oh, yeah,
my two oldest actually both type out their packing list.
But I do that for my guests too.
I know you do. I've actually seen your list.
You get the packing list weeks before. You know ahead of time the itinerary. You know all of that beforehand.
So that takes a little bit of the fear.
Yeah, it does. It does. And then I think also too, people are like, I want to go, but I don't have anyone to go with. Sometimes that's an issue.
But I think that could be because I'll go by myself.
I think it's amazing to go by yourself.
But I think a lot of people are scared. When I was looking at going to Italy last year for the big birthday, my dad was freaking out because I was like, I'm going to go by myself, and my dad's like, you can't go by yourself. It's overseas and there are people and you're going to be kidnapped and all this stuff. I'm like, well, first of all, I'm a second-degree black belt. Feel like I might be able to defend myself.
Right.
And then I feel like I'm a little bit above the age range for people they're trying to traffic. So I don't necessarily know that I was going to be a target. But nonetheless, he was a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
Now, this is the same father that I had to check in with when I just went to New York. I'm like, okay, well, you still live up there, but I still had to check in. Are you back at the hotel? Or you did, which is sweet. I love him, and you know, he does it because he loves me. But I think people have this fear, an unrealistic fear, like something horrible is going to happen.
Yeah.
More bad things are going to happen to you driving in Atlanta.
Thank you.
Than they are going to overseas.
But see, that's the thing, though. When you start to use those fears to stop you from achieving your goal, you're not going to do anything. You're just going to stay, and then that means you're not going to change. And then when you don't change, you don't grow.
Maybe I am calling out the bubble people.
You know.
All right. So when people start thinking, like, and let's talk adventure first, and then we'll get into travel. So. Yeah. Like when people start thinking, last week we talked about kind of the questions to ask yourself, what you really want to do, what you're passionate about. How do we do the same thing when it comes to creating adventures?
So I guess you kind of figure out what is it similar question, like what is it that excites you, that you want to do? You're probably like, I don't know. Write it down. Like those are the ones you want to write. And then when you do that list, I encourage you to go through the list again and think, okay, if I were to die right now and I didn't do this, how would you feel? Yeah. Cross it off the list. And if it's like, oh my goodness, no, I have to leave it on the list.
Well, and I think there's things, I'm trying to pull up my list. We, you know, when I first went into finance, like 20 years ago, I was with my firm that I joined. Our partner had us do this 100 things to do before we die list. And I've talked about this a few times on the show. But it's all the things, and mine are categorized because I'm just anal like that. And some of them are places to go. Some of them are things to try. Some of these are career accomplishments. I've done probably close to 40. I'm 30-some, 40. Things fall off the list. Things don't fall. You know, correct. I add to. So I feel like you do have to go after. So when I made my list, and those of you guys that have heard me talk about this will remember, it was easy to get 20 or 30 things. Like you can easily rattle off. Here's the things.
Yes.
But when you have to get to 100 things you want to do before you die, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Like a lot. And you're really having to pull. And so a lot of the places I wanted to go, I mean, I did the typical stuff. Go to London, go to Paris, you know, but then you start thinking, is this obligatory because I've never been there?
That's it.
Versus so some of mine, that's what I'm trying to pull up the list. Some of them were like, experience Times Square in a foreign country, or New Year's Eve in a foreign country.
Nice.
Stand under a waterfall in a foreign country, because all the romantic films, they're under the waterfall. There's always half-dressed, really ripped ab guys under the waterfall. I'm like, that'd be great. Let's do that.
And the New Year thing, you know what I want to do? I want to experience New Year in like 3 or 4 different countries. So that it's like I do this and I'm going to the next country. So I'll
like
probably
the same day?
Yeah, so I'll probably start off in Australia and then go to another place and go to another country.
That's
kind of
cool.
Do that. Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
All right. So those would be, all right. So as you're thinking, I feel like the 100 things is, and I do this with a lot of my clients for 2 reasons. One, I want them thinking bigger. Yeah. And to get to 100, you have to go a little deeper and think bigger.
True. That's
but then I also want them to start going after the things. And some of the things on my list are charitable.
Right.
You know, and some of the things, you know, there's certain organizations I want to donate a big old chunk to. Haven't done that. Those aren't on my. I've donated, but like big chunks.
Big chunks, yeah.
There's a couple. There's 2 particular organizations. The American Cancer Society and Parkinson's, because that's what all my grandparents passed from.
Yeah.
So, you know, to write those big checks. So whatever the adventure is, whether it's travel, whether it's an experience, whether it's learning something, which we talked about last week as well, we've got this opportunity.
We do. We have it. It's there for us for the taking. So it's like, why aren't you doing it? And even asking yourself why. Like, what is the main reason why you think you can't start doing, or even taking steps towards them?
Do you think people just like, and we talked about status quo, do you think people just like to stay? Because I feel like some people either aren't uncomfortable enough where they're like, I'll just do what I'm doing. No, but that seems boring to me.
But I think it's just being comfortable, because they know that in order to take the next step, they're going to have to do something differently. And it's hard.
Yeah.
And not everyone's ready to do the hard work. It's like, you're like, I won't worry about it. I'll just stay where I am, you know?
Well, I agree with that to an extent when it comes to career and personal growth and all that type of stuff. But I just don't think that adventure and travel should be that hard.
Well, I guess for you, you're saying that, but I'm sure there are people out there listening that is like, travel by myself, go to a different country. Why? I have everything I need here.
Well, and that may not be on their list because I did find my list. So, a lot of these are like, I want to see the Aurora Borealis. I want to go to Bora Bora and stay in one of those little bungalows because those
water.
look great.
I mean, why not?
I mean, I probably wouldn't want to do that by myself. I mean,
but it'd be so
that'd
much
be fun. Party of one, romantic overwater bungalow. But, it would be fun. But it may not be fun for it. So my list may be different. Like some of mine are taken, each of my daughters on individual vacation. Yeah, I mentioned the Times Square or the New Year's Eve in Times Square in the foreign country.
Yeah.
And some of these are things that some of them are things to do. Like I've got a lot of things left and a lot of really cool things I've done that I would not have done if they weren't on my list.
Exactly. And then you become, the other thing about doing this is you become a different person when you do these things.
Yeah.
Because in order for you to, it might be something you've never thought about before, or you're conquering a type of fear when you do it. And when you do it, it's like your courage muscle just grows by doing it. It's like, okay, I'm going to do it. It's on my list. And then you do it and you're like, that sense of accomplishment is just priceless.
And I think some of it is the fear of the unknown. One of the things that's on my list, and I've talked about this before, I've not done it. We actually almost were about to do it before COVID hit. But one of the things on my list is to take an impromptu trip. Like literally grab a friend, go to the airport. We have a limit. Like, so go to the counter and say, book me on the next flight for under X amount of dollars, for under $500, for under $1,000, whatever it is. And we have to go wherever the next flight is.
Oh my goodness.
And my one of my girlfriends said she would do it with me. She's like, I'll totally go.
That.
But we're like, we're going to end up in like Paducah, Kentucky with nothing to do.
It's okay.
But that's okay.
But that's okay.
Because it was the fear of the unknown.
Oh my goodness. I think that is so much fun. Yeah. Like that excites me. I'm sure there are probably people listening like, I don't know about that. But I think that's so exciting.
I think it'd be, actually, I've mentioned it before because I had a few people like, I'll go with you.
Wow.
I'm like, that would be fun.
I know.
But it's totally, that's a fear one because it's totally, you have to let go of the unknown. Because you don't know. We have no idea.
Let go of control and just let it happen.
I don't know if you can even do that in today's day and age. Just go to the counter, book me on the next flight to wherever.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah, with a backpack as we're walking through the airport.
And then make sure you take stuff for like cold and hot weather.
That's what we figured. We're like, just plan. We'll have a parka and a bikini.
Yeah,
I mean, it'll be easy.
Yeah.
But part of these things, and I think as I scroll through and looking at my personal list, some of these things were not on my original list, and I added things, and I've stayed at 100.
Yes.
I take things off when they're no longer of interest to me, and there have been things that I've had some career changes. I've changed some of my career ones.
Right.
I did originally when I built the list. I had scuba diving on the list.
Yeah.
I have since taken that off.
No interest in it.
No, because, and let me tell you why. We did an incentive trip for my old firm, and we went to Anguilla, which was gorgeous.
Yes, Anguilla is nice.
It's beautiful. Yeah, because I think you guys are
we're
going
to go. We're going to do the yacht trip.
Yeah, so we did Anguilla, and there was this opportunity to go snorkeling, and I was like, oh, absolutely, how fun will that be? And we had this guy that lived there that owned the boat that was taking us out. And he was such lived there, grew up on the island, all this stuff. I loved this guy because he knew everything, where everything was. And we go snorkeling. And what they don't tell you about snorkeling is there are animals, including sharks, that will just swim up to you. And the guy's like, I was petrified. And we parked, he knew where to park the boat and anchor. And there was a little reef that we had to go around. You can't swim across it. So we're halfway around. And he's like, do you want to stay close to me? I was like, yes, I'm staying close to you. I will be joined at your hip. And like my ex-husband was like, we were married at the time, but he's looking at me. I'm like, I'm staying with him. He knows where he's going. He can fend off the sharks. You're on your own, buddy. And like all these people in our group, there were barracuda sharks, which I guess don't bother you.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know. They were sharks. And so like we're snorkeling, and he's diving down and look at these the sea turtles were cool.
Aww.
I didn't think they were going to eat me, so we were cool. But like I started eyeing the other people in the group, going, all right, she's bigger than me. I can swim near her. The shark's going to get her. I was sizing up the competition of who was going to get eaten by sharks, which is when I decided scuba diving was probably not something that needed to be on my list, because there was nothing about It was beautiful. I got to see the little sea turtles. I feel like I could have seen them from a glass bottom boat and been just as happy.
But you know
so
what?
I did take scuba diving off my. I marked off snorkeling.
Yeah.
Actually, here's what I did. I removed scuba diving, marked off snorkeling. Like, okay, I'm done. That's what.
Yeah.
But same thing with skydiving.
Yeah.
Zero desire to do that.
Yeah.
I will stay in the plane. But it's not on my list. It may be on somebody else's.
Yeah, and I agree with that because I did that when we went to Costa Rica. So the kids and my husband, they were going ziplining in the rainforest.
Yep,
And
I
the
did
first
ziplining.
time
That
they
was
said
cool.
it, I said, nope, that will not be me. And then I said,
Yeah.
you know what? That's an opportunity for me to at least experience it.
Yeah.
I did it with them, and I'll tell you, I will not be doing it again.
I had so
am
much
done.
fun ziplining.
Nope.
It was
Not
awesome.
for
Like
me.
ziplining was cool. I thought, but I think that's the cool thing about this when
Yes.
you do the list is you kind of see what you like and what you don't.
Right.
And it's, there's certain things. And what's interesting is there are things on my list as I'm scrolling through that people would be shocked. The karaoke we talked about
Yes.
last week, that's on my
Yeah.
list. Go snow skiing. I've never been snow skiing.
Oh, nice.
One, because that white powdery stuff is cold.
Yeah, it is.
But two, my knees, like I went on a skiing trip once and I dislocated my knee and the doctor was like, yeah, no, you're not getting up on skis. So I've never actually snow skied.
Yeah.
But I think they're fun things that if we all
Yeah.
sit down and try to figure out what would be fun. And don't make the list. I feel like when I did the list to start, I made it because, like, same thing, scuba diving and skydiving. Those were on there because if you literally Google 100 things to do before you die, it'll be on there.
Okay.
But make the list for you.
Make the list for you. And it could be anything. It could
Yeah.
be making some kind of recipe from scratch.
Yeah.
I mean,
I had
creme
take a
brulee
cooking.
or something.
I had take a
you know?
cooking class on there.
Yeah,
which was kind
exactly.
of fun.
Yeah.
like I had take a cooking class, take a wine class, all the things you want to learn.
Right.
So if I look at my categories,
Yes.
part of mine's career, places to go.
Yes.
that was the biggest bulk of my list.
Yeah.
Places to go. Things that are out of my comfort zone. So, and I'll tell you one of those in a minute. Things to accomplish and do. So,
Okay.
some of mine was like getting my first degree, getting my second
Yeah.
degree, black belt, things like that. The couple of them I've just checked off, I realized. And then that's really the categories. But
Yeah.
out of my comfort zone was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And we did, when I turned 40,
Yes.
I did a 40 things to do in 40 days.
Oh.
Experiment
Wow.
on the 40 days leading up to my 40th birthday, and I picked a new
So you picked
adventure.
everything every day. You did something every day.
I did something every day,
Wow.
not necessarily from this list,
Yeah.
but I made a list of a couple hundred things to
Wow.
do. Some of them, again, were charitable. Some of them were
Yeah.
out of comfort zone. So I took a few of my out of the comfort zone list. I mean, we did. This is the bad one. It's so bad. We did a pole dancing class.
What's bad about that? I've done that.
It
And I
was
think-
hard
No, it's
work.
hard. It
I
is-
mean, I'm telling you, those girls deserve. Y'all need
Whatever
to not
it
be
is.
tipping them dollars. These girls
Seriously.
need like 20s.
I agree. I was speaking to someone
was
about that
hard
recently.
work.
It is not easy. Actually,
No.
one of the ladies on that I interviewed for 50 Shades of Over 50, she takes pole dancing class, and she said for the first 2 years she was holding on for dear life. She couldn't move.
It was
but
tough
she stuck
work.
with it though.
Yeah.
And she said she says now she gives those women props big time. It is hard.
It is hard work. Like, and
It
it's
is.
the girl that taught the class, because I was up north when I took this. She that was what she did. Like, she had a studio and she taught
Yes.
the classes and she did all. I felt like she needed a minute alone with the pole because she was like really into it. She was very in character, but it. So, which is when you're doing it as like a 40 things to do. I was very respectful, but I was cracking up the whole time. And my girlfriend that went with me was like, stop laughing. And I'm like, I can't. Because there was this, at one point, this is so bad. Please, my kids, if you're listening, just turn it, just earmuffs for a minute. But there was one part they have you like crawling on the floor and that. My knees were creaking. They're like, I'm like, I really think this loses the sexiness when my knees are creaking, crawling on the floor. But I kid you not, I've never had so much fun. We were dying laughing.
Yeah.
And
It's
it was,
a fun
you had
class.
such an appreciation afterwards. And the
Yes.
lady was incredibly skilled. Like, she's showing us all this, and then we're like, she's like doing a little demonstration, and we're like, oh my God, that's really cool. And then we try like one move, and I'm
You're
like,
nope.
I don't know how she did that. She
Yeah.
just defied gravity. I felt like I needed to, I mean, we paid for the class, but like, I'm telling you. But that's
Yes.
what these adventures
That's-
should be. These are the things where, and I'm
Exactly.
not saying do it every day.
Yeah.
Because I will say the 40 days, I should have spread it out more because it
Yeah.
was a lot in 40
Yeah.
days. But it let me experience things that I otherwise would
would
not
not
have.
have, right?
Like we did,
Yeah.
a couple of the things were just, part of experiences don't have to be expensive. So I'll hear people say a lot is, I don't have the money to do it. And it doesn't have to be that way.
That's an excuse. It doesn't have to.
I mean, we
doesn't
went
have to
roller
involve the money.
skating.
Yeah.
We went to the batting cages. One of the experience, this was a bad one. Out of my comfort zone, I let my daughters do my makeup. They wanted to do my makeup, and they're like, I'm gonna let the girls do my makeup, and then I'll take them out to dinner.
Oh, so you have to wear the makeup out.
At the time, my children were, let's see, if this was when I was 40, my children were at 5, the 2 that did the makeup at the time were 5 and 11. Oh, wow. And they each decided to do half my face instead of like one did one half and one did the other.
And you went out.
If the clown world had hookers,
that would be you?
That would have been me. Then I had to take them out to dinner. And they were very proud. And so they also did my hair. So I think I had their pictures. I'll have to dig them up.
Which is nice. But that's
it was like one side was in a pony and this.
But see,
those
are the precious memories that. You will never forget that.
Oh no, neither will any of the people at the restaurant that were scarred by it. But you're right though. But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Right.
I look like a buffoon. I mean, people were thinking, "Oh, bless her," and her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
was, but it was out. I mean, it was out of my comfort zone.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like.
That's what this is about.
I feel like we're missing adventure.
We are
in these days, and I say me, and I'm guilty of
this
too.
And all of us actually, because sometimes we just kind of go with, we're so busy, we have all these different things, and then we don't set aside time for play, because that's what adventure really is about.
And that, if you really think about it, I think we're losing that as a society, and I feel like kids are losing that too, because I have this argument all the time with heaven forbid the battery die on one of my children's cell phones. They're like, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. I'm like, go outside. What am I going to do outside? I don't know. Think of something. Right. Well, my phone's dead. I mean, like when I say go outside, they take their phone outside. But we've, in my home, we limit device time. This is a new thing we've instituted. It's going over like a lead balloon. But it's because they don't know how to play.
Right.
Like we forgot. And as adults, we forget.
Mm-hmm.
We forget how to play. We forget how to have fun.
Yeah, and we have to have that fun. That's what, that helps us shape who we really are. Because, you keep on doing like the work, and that's important too. But, you have to infuse some fun into it, which involves play.
Well, so how do you, as adults, like kids, we know we just say, I mean, I feel like we had imaginations as kids.
Yeah.
I don't know that kids today do. I think it's starting to wane a little bit. But I hope to see that come back. So how can, as adults, we kind of capitalize on that a little bit?
And then it's picking up things that you like. Because what I'm doing now is I'm doing roller skating. I haven't done that since I was a kid.
I loved roller skating. I still have my skates.
Really?
I do.
Wow.
I'll go roller skating with you.
Yeah, and I want to. I want to get really good where I'm able to dance on roller skates. I think that's just going to be so much fun.
I was a speed skater, so I didn't. Wow. Yeah, so I don't know the dance. I mean, I do remember a few routines, but I will say I got out a few years ago. I went roller skating. I went back to my hometown, and it was harder than I recall it being 35 years ago when I bought my skates. But it's trendy now.
It really is. And I was like, and I wanted to do it like 3 or 4 years ago. And I was like, but now I'm like, you know what? I'm seeing people out there doing it. I'm like, I need to get back doing this. I think it's going to be so much fun. But I could only roller skate. I couldn't do the dancing with it. So that's the extra level.
That's next level.
Like, I want to do it, and then I want to be able to dance to music while roller skating. Yeah.
So all right. So let's talk about that, because I think that would be fun. And I feel like a lot of people listening are like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then the next immediate thought is, I could never do that.
Yeah.
Because they're worried, I think, about what other people think.
Listen.
And we're in Atlanta. So in Atlanta, we have a gentleman, Baton Bob. Do you know Baton Bob?
No, I don't.
So Baton Bob is in Atlanta. He used to live in St. Louis too, which is funny because I lived there before. Baton Bob his name is Bob, and he has a baton.
Yeah.
That's where the name comes.
Yes.
And you will frequently see him on the streets of Atlanta twirling the baton.
Oh,
and
Sometimes he's like close to like Piedmont
Park.
Park.
Yeah. So he's down there a lot. So he lives kind of down that way. Phenomenal guy. Yes. And I know people who know him personally. He is actually a very successful business owner, and people don't realize that.
Wow.
But he is, but he loves that.
Oh,
and he loves the
wow.
baton. He loves bringing joy. And you cannot see this man on the street in his little leotard or whatever. And it's always a colorful, very
Yes.
exorbitant costume, and he's always twirling the baton.
Yeah.
You can't look at him and not smile.
That's it.
Like you just sit there. But I know I'm thinking he had to have, I mean, that's just him. That's just his personality from my friends that know him personally. Like he's just that. He's a good guy. He's a happy guy. But more of us need to embrace that fun, playful side.
Yeah. And it takes courage, because I know people are thinking, oh my God. I'll give you an example. Even my kids, sometimes I do certain things, they're looking at me like, okay, Mom, really? Seriously? But you know what? You get over that. And you realize, you know what? It's about you.
So how do you get over that?
I don't let it bother me. I just tell them it's about me.
Yeah.
Now, and listen, I'm over 50. It's about me right now.
See, that's why we've got that. We don't have to give the F's anymore because
we're done. It's like, this is our time. You have people pleased your way to this point. It's about time to just drop that and just kind of.
But what about people who aren't 50? I don't
do
think
it
they
anyway.
should. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Do
I think
it
they
anyway.
should do it anyway.
Actually, they just need to stop. Actually, my goal really with what I do is I really want the younger women to look up to us and say, wow, they're 50, they're doing that? That's amazing. Like, they just know that. They don't even have to stop worrying about, oh my goodness, I'm going to get old. I'm getting older. That doesn't have to be in their vocabulary. They know that regardless, they can keep on doing the stuff that they enjoy and love to do.
So I think adventure takes on like little stuff like that, because that stuff is not free, but pretty darn close to it. I mean, it's inexpensive. You can do stuff. You can dance around your house, your apartment, wherever you are. You can do all those types of things.
Yeah. And it's like you said, it doesn't have to be pricey.
Right.
I mean.
But if people are looking for big adventures, because you are well traveled. So I'm very curious about this. You were not born in the States. So you've lived in multiple different countries.
Yes.
Your husband's from overseas as well.
Yes.
So where do you feel, because I'm curious, not being raised here, I feel like Americans don't experience other countries and cultures.
They don't.
To the extent that I wish I would have.
Yes, I agree. I think just
like
generally as a country, like, I'll be honest with you, when I first moved to this country, I was surprised people didn't have passports. I'm like, you don't have a passport? Like, seriously? I'm like, why not? And because that means to me that you don't travel. I'm like,
right.
You have this opportunity to go to different places. And sometimes, you know what, some people will tell me, like, well, I don't need to travel. I have everything I want here. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it just gives you an opportunity to learn about other cultures and other people.
Right.
And you grow through travel.
And I think that's an opportunity for a lot of people to experience.
Yeah.
So what do you see as, having done that for your whole life? Because it's I haven't traveled now what's funny, my friend group is very multicultural.
Yes.
But I haven't traveled to as many cultures as I plan to.
Yeah.
Just because that just wasn't, as we talked about, it wasn't how I was raised. It wasn't, I didn't know that was a thing.
Right.
So what benefit, and how would you encourage people to kind of start looking at that? What benefits do you see from other cultures? You mentioned food.
The
language.
the language.
Oh, the food's like nuts.
Oh, my goodness. It's like,
I don't even like American food, so I eat more multicultural food anyway.
Just that. And then you meet so many different people, and you get to learn about them, how they are, their culture, how they grew. I mean, I think all of that to me is just, it's almost like education.
Yeah.
Because you're learning.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't necessarily learn that while you're here. You can't learn that in this country.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's true, because I feel like there's an opportunity where, I don't know, it just, there's things you can learn from other people by asking questions and by getting to know them that we wouldn't know. And what I've noticed, at least with, my friends and the places that I have been, is there's so many more similarities than there are differences.
Yeah.
And there's so much we can learn from other
so
people
much.
that if we only have our viewpoint, we're so limited in what we do.
Yeah. I mean, you travel, you see all these different places, you meet these different people, and sometimes just, having conversations, you're like, oh my goodness, really? And it gives you a different perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, I love traveling. I just think it's just a way to just grow as a human.
Yeah.
I
think it's very, 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 I don't want to say underrated. I think it's just, people know how good it is, but people don't do it.
And the beautiful thing about traveling is you can travel on any budget. It's like, Listen, someone can be staying at the Four Seasons. You can be staying at a motel. Guess what? Both of you are experiencing Greece together.
Yes.
It's like, doesn't matter.
So what is your advice then? I think that's a good point. Because so if somebody's young, I feel like you should travel when you're young. I didn't do that in my 20s. If I could redo anything from my 20s, it would be to travel more extensively internationally.
Right.
I did travel a lot within the U.S.
Yes.
But it was, it was just very insular. And I didn't experience a lot because I'd say most of the travel I did, my ex-husband was on tour when I was younger and when we were in our 20s. So that was, a lot of it was involved
With
around
that.
that. So we didn't necessarily do a whole lot. It was like you go to a new city, you play a show, you go to the next city. I think there would have been more adventure, more like learning experiences.
And then when you go, take excursions. Find the excursions that interest you.
Yeah.
So you can go on them, and then you're learning more. Go on a tour of the city.
Well, and people always used to do, you'll see it in the movies where they take the gap year and they backpack through Europe and all this. And it sounds like this mythical land backpacking through Europe. But I feel like that's an opportunity when you're in your 20s to it is. You can do it inexpensive.
Yeah, but guess what, though? Do you know there's a place, and I can't remember the person that does it. There's actually a gap year for women in their 40s and over.
Shut up. Are you serious?
I'm serious. I'm not kidding you.
Nah.
For real.
Children, I'll be gone for the next year. I'll stock the fridge. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But all right, but let's talk about that for a minute because
Yes.
I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Sign me up. What are you going to work? Not work for a year?
Or you work from, some people have, they can
Okay,
work
because I
remotely.
technically could do that. I
Yeah.
technically could. Because I'm sitting there going, I kind of have to, I'm assuming they don't take a gap year on my bills.
No, they don't.
Which is
well,
what
it depends.
scares people.
I guess, but you know what? You find a way to make. See, that's the thing. If you really open yourself to the possibility of it happening,
Yeah.
you'll make a way for those other things to fall. To
Yeah.
to kind of work out. Seriously, yeah.
Well, I think it's exciting though.
I think it is.
All right, so as we're thinking of, let's talk adventure and travel.
Yes,
With adventures, with these anywhere from little to big.
yes,
I feel like we got to get people got to need to start small. And
Yeah.
I think it's starting with making your list, your list 100. I don't care if it's 150,
yeah.
500, whatever you want to do.
Make the list. Because if you don't have a list, what do you have to go by?
And I agree. And then
Yeah.
it's fun to look at it every year since I just pulled mine up. And I do look at mine pretty frequently, but now that I just looked at it, there are a couple things I checked off. I was like, nice, I
Yes.
need to get this out of there. But they should excite you.
They have to. That's a guarantee. Listen, if it doesn't excite you, don't put it on the list.
Yeah.
Because that means you're doing it for someone else. No.
Well, and that's the thing is,
we're
we
not
talked
doing
about
that.
this last week with what really kind of gets us going and what our
Yeah,
passions are and what
yeah.
we enjoyed as a kid.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great place.
It's
to
important.
start.
If everyone's going to Paris, Paris doesn't interest you, don't put it on the list.
It's true.
Put the places that you really, truly want to go to.
Well, and there's, so many things we talked about, recently we had talked about the 75 hard challenge that I
Yes.
did and all that. And my team and my company is developing not a similar challenge, but a challenge, a
Yes.
renewal, we're calling it Renew,
Yes.
but that incorporates all these areas of life. Because one of
Yes.
those, that was a mental toughness challenge, and it was mostly fitness and diet,
Yes.
which was awesome.
Yes.
But what was interesting is I had so many people come to me afterwards and during it, that either reached out on social or people that I know personally were like, I would love to do this, but I don't want to do this one thing. And I saw so many people not go after this life-changing opportunity with the 75 hard challenge because there was one component that wasn't them. And it that's why we're developing our challenge.
Was it the same thing that most of them didn't want to do?
Not really.
Okay.
That's what was interesting. And there's some the challenge continues with some 30-day things, which people have reached out and said, are you going to do these? And there's one thing on there that I have zero interest in doing. Not because I don't think it's a great thing. It's a great thing, but it's got this 5-minute cold showers. My relaxation is like warm bath type of thing. I just don't have a desire to do it. I get that it's
Yes.
great for the body.
Yes.
But that would choose
know.
me not. So what we're developing is a challenge that you can customize to you, because that's what I feel like's wrong with people wanting to take adventures and take trips.
Yes.
Is we try to slot everybody into, well, if you want adventure, you need to do X or you need to do Y. And it's got to be made for you.
Yeah,
So
and over 50, that's one of the things, really. You
Right.
customize your own life moving forward.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's one, and we'll be giving more information on this challenge as we get it developed, because
Nice.
we're talking with the app developers. It'll be cool because I want
Nice.
people to be able to make their life their own.
Yeah.
And that's an opportunity we all have. It is a choice we all have.
It's a choice we all
and
have.
it's a choice that so few people make.
Yes.
That they, instead of designing the life that they're meant to lead, they're defaulting into the life that someone else thinks
designed
they should
for
be
them.
leading.
Yeah, exactly.
And that goes all the way down to adventure and travel.
Yes.
So it starts with making your list.
Yeah, I'll make the list.
And then what would you tell them to do after they made the list? So they sit down, they write these things.
Yeah.
What do they do next?
And I want them to really go through the list and see the things that really, truly light them up. Because you'll know, you're like, no. Okay,
Yeah.
cross them out. Listen, the next chapter of your life is going to be awesome, but only if you decide to do the things you truly enjoy.
Yeah.
And so you cross the things out that don't really light you up and just say, okay, I'm just going to be focused on these ones because these ones, like, they really excite me. I look at them, I'm like smiling, like, that's it.
Yeah.
And just go ahead and start to take steps, because it's so easy for us. I mean, I think we live in a culture where we consume a lot of information, but we don't create stuff for ourselves.
Right.
And that's when true transformation happens, when you implement, when you create. And so, just
and the
being
creating
able to
is a big thing, because we do get all the information. And I think that's part of the challenge is we get, and I realize, I mean, we're doing a podcast, so this is media, but I get ticked at the media because they spend too much time trying to tell us what we're supposed to want to do, what we're supposed to like, the adventures we're supposed to go on, the places we're supposed to travel to, the things we're supposed to eat, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you just said it. If it lights you up, then it's probably worth doing.
Yeah,
and if it's not,
let it go.
Right. But I think that has to do with people, that has to do with event. With me, it's either life's either a daring adventure or nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no in between.
Yeah, let's go all in. This is it. I'm excited. Do it.
I like it. So talk to us before we wrap. Talk to us a little bit about the adventures you do, because I want to make sure that people have an opportunity that we can put a link to some of the ones you have coming up, because you curate some
oh my goodness,
awesome
this
stuff.
is this is one of my life's works.
I think you do this because you want to go on these adventures
I
too.
do.
That's
and
how you
I
pick the places.
enjoy it, and it's like I take the time to really like you said, I create places that I know that the women are going to absolutely enjoy.
Yeah.
It's like I want these women to be pampered all the way through. We get a private chef, we get a butler, they have housekeepers.
I know.
Listen, if you want
fancy
coffee,
pants type of stuff.
if you want coffee at 7 a.m. brought to your room, we do that.
I want people to leave me alone at 7 a.m.
And that's
and not come to
we
my
do
room
that.
when I'm on
And the beautiful
vacation.
thing about the retreats that I create, you also have downtime for you. So you get time too to do whatever you want. If you want to sit by the pool, if you want to, head to the jacuzzi, if you want to just read or sleep or call your kids if you want to. It's all, you get to do that too. So it's just...
But it's customized. Like you said, you're customizing. You're just handling the logistics.
Yeah. And I think the most important part that is always, one of the things I make sure we have in all the retreats is the view. You have to be able to wake up in the morning and just look outside and you're like, wow, this is beautiful.
So you are going to Greece in September.
Greece in September, yeah. Greece is sold out.
Greece is sold out, but you just announced your 2020 trip.
So our 2022 trip is
2022.
2020.
I
That's
still
okay.
didn't know what year it is.
We're going to St. Martin, and the villa is just, as my kids
Y'all,
would say.
I saw the pictures. The villa is stupid. Like,
and listen, I'm going to use a term that my kids are probably like, Mom, you shouldn't be saying this. It's insane.
I was going to say sick.
And they say that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is just, oh my, it's like the outside space, it's like, you don't even know where the outside and the inside begins and ends, because it just flows through. Beautiful.
I saw that,
It's just beautiful.
And it's before Mother's Day.
It's just before so we get
kids,
you back
if you're
2
looking
days
at what
before
to get mommy for Mother's Day
Yes,
next
this is
year.
an opportunity. And we get you back 2 days before Mother's Day so that you can be home with, And listen, even if you're not a mother, this could be your post-pandemic trip, or just because trip. You get to decide.
But all right, but just because is a big thing, and I feel like that people need to do more just because trips.
Yes. You don't have to wait for an occasion to take a trip.
No.
You can just do it just because, and you just take off and go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes those are the most adventurous. Last year I had like a week where the kids were going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And what's this? No, it was Thanksgiving. It was over Thanksgiving.
Yes.
I had a week where the kids were going to be gone, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I was having a conversation with my friend Matt, and we were talking. He's like, what are you going to do? You've got 9 days without the kids. What are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, you need to go somewhere. I'm like, oh, yeah, probably do. And he's like, where are you going to go? I'm like, I don't know. So I went down there and went to Florida and then had a blast.
See?
But it literally, I think we planned this Like we literally had this conversation on a Friday and I left on Sunday.
Nice.
So sometimes it's these big elaborate things that we planned out. But sometimes some of our coolest and most impactful adventures are the ones that were like
spontaneous. You just did
just
it.
Go.
Yeah.
So I think we've got an opportunity for spontaneous and planned.
Yes. I think a mixture of both is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the spontaneous is where making the list helps because then you can go,
What's on the list?
what adventure can I get into this weekend? I love it. I love it.
Yes.
So how can people find you and find more information on your trips and all these retreats? And
Yes.
everything?
So for the trip to St. Martin,
Yes.
it's if you go to www.kwavi.tv/st_Martin, you'll get that.
Okay.
Or if you
And
just
we'll put a link in there.
Yeah. Or if you just go to www.kwavi.com, you'll see my retreat list
All
on
your
there too.
stuff. I know.
Mhm.
It's so cool.
Yeah. So it's
so
exciting.
Cool. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
I
Well,
love it too.
we're going to create some adventures.
Yes.
I think it'll be fun. So I've got to relook at my list. That's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to commit. And for those of you guys listening that have not already done your list of 100 things to do before you die, which hopefully will be a long, long time from now, do it.
That's
Write
right.
it down and really go deep and start to figure out where you get excitement. And then after you've written it down, reread the list to Kwavi's point. And if you don't get excited and get those little butterflies in your tummy about it, then you probably need to take it off and reevaluate
Yeah.
what's on there.
Yeah.
You don't have to skydive or scuba dive if you're scared of the sharks.
Yeah. And you
But
don't
if-
have to go to Paris if you don't really want to.
If you don't really want to. That is true. That is Paris is on my list, though.
Oh, but Paris, I love Paris though.
I know. It's supposed to be so romantic. I'm such a romance buff too. It's
Oh,
like not
it's-
even funny.
it's so
Anything
beautiful,
that's
though.
my
You have to go.
my list is basically if it appeared in a Hallmark movie, it's on my list. But it's so sad.
and that's good too. I
It
think
is
that's
good.
exciting.
It is good. So my adventure will be continuing in Italy now that we're hearing that it's
open. Oh
It's
goodness.
open.
Oh yeah.
So we're getting there. So my friend, thank you so much for being
You're
with us,
welcome.
Miss Adventure Queen. You guys check out her stuff because you're gonna it's nuts when you see these pictures of all the places that we're going. So have fun, create some adventures, and make sure you are taking time to get some excitement and energy in your life and not just ho-humming all the way through it. So we will see you guys for another episode next week. And until then, have an absolutely fantastic time. Thanks again, Kwavi.
Bye.